October 25, 2023. This is the S&P 500 E-Futures Mini on the 2000 tick chart using the NinjaTrader 8 platform. You can look down in the descriptions below to see where I thought I saw setups as well as where I took my trades. There was no real piece of economic data that came out today that caused any big knee-jerk reaction or any areas to be cautious about. Looks like there was just one big leg down, one pretty much bearish leg down into a range. But I saw it as kind of like a one leg down, kind of a consolidation, a little correction, and then another big leg down. But even then, the legs I had to split up into smaller channels. I'm gonna get into the trades today. Took a total of 5 trades, won on 4 and lost on 1. So this is what the pre-market looked like. Pre-market, so ignore this red channel right now. Pre-market highs and lows are here. And at this point, it looks like it's going to be a range day. I did see this trade, but I didn't take it just because in the pre-market, it is a failed second entry long. You have a new high here. It's a first entry long, pullback, second entry long, and it's rejected by the EMA. And it's a pretty good signal bar. There's enough room to the low. And so there's a potential trade right there, but I don't trade the pre-market. Then the market opens. It starts trending down. And keep in mind, this red channel doesn't exist yet. It falls in what I think is going to be this yellow channel, breaks out the pre-market lows, and I'm just watching and waiting. These are really tiny candles. This is just a trend going down right now. Fortunately, I don't see any good clean setups that I feel are safe, just because the candles are pretty tight and small. Falls into this range. I see a potential fail breakout of this potential trading range, but the signal bar, it closed right at the EMA. So I'm not too keen on this, and it feels a little early to fully trust that this is a range right now because it could kind of bounce back, and I don't know that for sure. Then prices continue moving down. It starts correcting back up. I do draw this preliminary trend line coming down, and I matched it and made it channeled right here. But I was playing with it all day because, well, all day up until that time because I was thinking maybe it's something like this or something different, but I wasn't sure. Ultimately, it became the red channel. Prices then continue down. It falls into this range. I see a potential failed second entry short right here. The new low, first entry short, second entry short. I thought this is an actual possible trade because it did close below the EMA. There's a break after this down green channel, and this could be the start of a second leg down because it looked like it was one push up, pull back. So it's like breakout. It tried to test the low, it couldn't, and this could be the start of a second leg. Now I didn't have this as a range yet because I was still thinking this blue one might be the range. And I was also thinking, well, it's rejecting off this EMA, and this could be a failed breakout pullback, but I wasn't 100% sure yet. So where it here corrects and it confirms a second entry short, but it just didn't feel like there was enough momentum pushing it down. It closed pretty much neutral, so I just sat and waited. And here it sets up a lower high. So here I'm actually thinking I might be pushing back out of this blue trading range, and I had my order ready. So I entered one tick below the low right here, and when it closed, so when it danced around, I entered, and I was looking for just a really quick scalp. I was able to get it before it hit the bottom. Really safe because it wasn't going to touch I was going to get out before it got anywhere close to the low, just to get a quick scalp, just get things going. Prices then continue chopping, comes up, and I'm thinking I'm actually in this red range now. So I was just kind of playing off of this. And you do have a new low here, first entry short, second entry short, but there's a bad signal bar. You're already too close to the low of the range to sell at the low. Prices then continue chopping. Looks like it's fitting inside this red range pretty well. I'm just watching carefully. There's a failed breakout here. Comes back, and I do see a new high. It's first entry long pullback. Technically, your second entry long was made here. This is a terrible signal bar, so I would not have thought to have an order ready. And when I saw this close, I was thinking there might have been a trade if I was aggressive to put one tick above this green one or just at the highs of this red one. But I wanted this candle to actually have just closed green to give me more confidence because these are pretty much just big candles moving the entire range of their entire length of the body. So who knows what the next candle that's going to print, if it's going to push back down. And if I really have a bottoming pattern here, because what gave me pause is this is making lower lows every time, even though the highs are being consistent. So Turns out if you did take the trade and it was aggressive, it would have worked, but it just didn't feel quite right for me. Price then continue moving up. So it kind of enters this blue channel, blue range again. And I was at one time thinking the blue range might be this top here and the bottom of this red one. And then these are just two channels inside of it. I thought this is a potential fail breakout of this red channel and potentially of this red range as well as this blue range. And so that's actually where I decided to take my second trade. I saw it break out. I wanted to see it come back down. Comes back down, makes a matching bottom. I'm not too keen on it. When it flashes down, very bearish, it enters this red range and it's breaking out of this blue range. So it looks like a fail breakout to me. So I thought, okay, obviously it made one push up. It already tested the high of this little channel here. High has been met. Now it's coming back down. So I decided to enter one tick below right here. And I was wrong because it flashes back up and takes me out up here. So that was a little bit unfortunate. I think in hindsight, the setup wasn't the cleanest, and I took too long to enter the trade because it's a failed breakout. You ideally want to enter where the breakout happens is re-entering, but here it dwelled outside, so it took a little while for it to come back inside the failed breakout of this red range. Ideally, with a failed breakout, this candle here would have been this candle and pushed through the EMA, then it'd been more definitive. But as you can see, I didn't take it on this candle, I didn't take it on this candle. After this one closed, then I decided, okay, I want to enter here. Whereas maybe if I put my entry way up here, it would have been safer. But then I was wondering if the EMA is going to come into play or if it's actually going to bounce off the top of this red range. With all those conflicting ideas, in hindsight, I should have just left this trade alone. So this was more like an almost setup that I took. So I do see a new high here. So first entry long, and now this failed breakout occurred. I'm thinking maybe be a breakout pullback because I do see I had this trend line going up, and I'm thinking prices might be starting to push out of this because it's making higher lows now. So when I saw first entry long, second entry long, I like the looks of this signal bar, and I decided I want to get into this trade, and there's enough room before I reach the potential high of this range. I entered one tick above, and I was able to quickly get out for my scalp right here. So it was like one green trade, one red trade, one green trade. And prices continue flashing up, chops around. I'm just watching carefully. At this point, I'm wondering if prices are going to come back into this red range. Oh, didn't mean to skip that much ahead. It comes up, it touches the top, and then it rejects. So I'm pretty confident this red channel is something prices are respecting. But I also noticed it came to the highs, but it's been having trouble reaching the lows. So there could be a breakout or correction coming. Prices then continue moving. You do have a new high here. It's first entry long. Second entry long is a bad signal bar. Prices then keep going up. It touches and it kind of confirms this yellow channel because at one time I did have the yellow channel a little lower here, but then it had a breakout here, excuse me, an overshoot. And I was expecting another overshoot back to the side to match it, but it didn't. And when I saw this pretty much match up here, that's when I extended this upwards to about right here. So this is the giant range I was playing with, not range, but channel. I also saw a new high here, counted this as one big new high. The first entry long, pull back, second entry long. Now I entered on this trade because I like the looks of this. And here's the reason why. This candle creates the second entry long setup. Now on the next candle, it flashes up by one tick and then rejects hard. It rejects hard by trapping a bunch of people that decide to go long, thinking it's bouncing off this yellow, bottom of this yellow channel. So you would have entered here thinking it's going to break out through. I saw it as break of this green channel. It tried to push up once, it meet this low, and now it's trying a second time and it failed. Or it's trying to push up a second time and it's failed and it's coming back down. So it's going to want to test this low. Also, I was thinking it's re-entering this downward red channel because this is a small breakout of this overall bearish bias. So I like the looks of this trade. When it closed, I wanted to confirm it's a failed second entry long. It closed kind of doji-ish, and I took a risk. And I decided to enter one tick below this guy, and I was able to quickly get a scalp out. And that's all I really wanted because I don't know if there's actually going to be a rejection and a bounce off of this top of this red channel. And it looks like it did bounce. And if you kept your stop up here, you would have survived until about right here. But as it chopped sideways, I think I would have probably decided just get out, break even, and scratch the trade. Prices continue moving up, chops around. It goes in this green channel, it tests the high. I don't see anything that I really like. Falls into what I think is this blue trading range. And it's just kind of chopping again. And I'm just not too keen on what I see here because it just feels really risky and dicey. Even then, my range here, I'm not that confident in because you can make an argument that's actually lower down here. But I pretty much kept it up there. Then I draw this as a resistance trend line coming down. I wasn't sure where the bottom could be if it was a channel. It was close to where this dotted line is for the midline. Then you had the overshoot here and an overshoot here. Then I actually drew it a little bit lower. You still had an overshoot. Ultimately ended with the tops here and the bottoms here. Saw prices move up, first entry short, second entry short. Now the second entry short is confirmed here, but the way it looks not very confident. And plus it didn't break through the EMA. So I'm a little weary. Then I saw this triple test and it flashes really strong down. So I thought this could have been a possible trade because this made a triple test. It tried 3 times to push out. It couldn't. Flash it down. This is a very, very strong push below the EMA. But I didn't feel, even though I thought it was going to push down a little bit more, enough for a scalp, the risk is very high. This is a very big candle, and I just didn't want to risk that. It looks like you would have been entered here, and you would have been okay as it flashed down. But it did create a lower high setup here. But the lower high is a little bit, doesn't give me much confidence because it's not a very good signal bar. It's too bullish, and it's coming right back up above the EMA. The lower high ideally would have had this push down, come up, and not break through the EMA and then continue downwards. But it just wasn't a clean setup, so I decided to leave it. Prices then continue moving down, chops around. It's just kind of noisy here right now. I'm not too sure of any setup or confident in the read. Technically, you have a new high here. It's the first entry long, second entry long. It's a good signal bar, but you are going counter trend to the overall bearish sentiment because, as you can see, everything's been selling off. It had a correction. Everything is resuming the sell-off. So it just felt a little bit risky to try to take that. And then prices break out of the yellow channel. I think it's in this green channel now. It falls and it looks like there's a small little range here. Technically, you have a new low here. It's a first entry short, second entry short. This is a really good signal bar, but it's already really close to the recent lows. So I'm weary of that because it just bounced off and made, the newest low. To ask for it to come back down, it's a little iffy. Prices then continue chopping, kind of falls into what I think is this orange channel going up. Then it comes down to this green channel, falls into what I see as a range, breaks out. And this is actually where I take my last trade of the day. Excuse me. I saw this as a new low. It's a first entry short, second entry short. I grouped this together actually. I just saw this as one leg up, first entry short, second entry short, and I waited for the second entry short to form. It confirmed here. Technically, if you're doing a very strict count, it'd be first entry short, second entry short, third entry short. But I count this as a localized bottom. So this is a new low, first entry short, second entry short, confirms here. But when it closed, I did not like the looks of that. So I waited for this one to open and it was dancing around, decided to enter one tick below, actually one tick right at the lows, flashes down. I was able to get out with just a quick scalp. I was very lucky. And then it flashed back up because actually, if I put it one tick below, I would not have gotten my exit. And so this was pretty much a lucky trade that I was able to quickly get. And I decided after that, I had 4 wins and 1 losses. It's time to just not press my luck because I feel like overall prices were getting a little choppy and I was getting probably mentally sloppy. So I didn't take any more trades, but I just kept watching the markets. It goes into this blue range, breaks out. This is just really, really congested. These candles are just side by side. They're in a trend, but they're very, very tight. So it's easy to enter and get stopped out. I saw a new low here, first entry short, second entry short. Now the second entry short, it's like almost a good trade. Now if the signal bar actually went up and touched it, because I do have this orange channel coming down, but I don't know if I fully trust it yet. If it had come up to the EMA and rejected down, I think I would have felt a little bit better. Also, this is making very recent lows. So I'd be selling into the lows, which gives me a little bit of caution. Plus, all the previous bars were very neutral-ish, so I decided to leave it alone. Prices then continue going down. At this point, I think it's clearly not fitting inside this yellow channel anymore. And I couldn't get something very clean to fit. So I drew this purple one where I touched here, but at least on the bottom, it touched and confirmed several times. So I was more concerned about the bottom as opposed to the top because it is going down and prices keep going, breaks through, comes up. It comes up, touches near the top, and I like that. It gives me confidence that this channel is somewhat correct. I did see a new high. It's first entry long, pull back, second entry long. And I didn't recognize at the time, but I think this was a possible trade because although it's below the EMA, it's a good signal bar. It's the break of this orange down channel. And it looked like it already tried to push down once, pull back, try to push down a second time. So this orange channel looks like it's played out. And then this purple channel, it looks like it, for the most part, did touch. It made one push up. It could be making a second push up. Also, after the break of this green channel, it made one attempt up, and it wants to test the high. So this could be starting a second attempt up. Now, I did play loosely with the idea there's a trend line here, but seeing all this in real time, I wasn't that sharp to see this. And it was actually after the fact when several minutes later when I would look back, I thought it is actually a possible trade here. If I was more sharp, I might have been able to see it and take the trade. Flashes up, it breaks through and keeps going. It falls into this yellow channel, which I have more confidence in now because I had 1, 2, 3 touches, 4 touches. I also had a good confirmation at the top. I saw this is a new high. It's first entry long, second entry long. This is actually second entry long, not second entry short. Now, again, when I saw this, I saw first entry long, second entry long. Technically, your signal bar is here, but your signal bar is also inside bar. I needed this to close either at the very tippy top or above the EMA, but that means this candle would have been a little bit higher. Then that give me a little more confidence, but there was things going for it. It was bouncing off the bottom of this yellow channel. And it was a pretty decent signal bar. You would have gotten a quick scalp out of it, and it looked like it's breaking out of this purple because it could be bouncing off the top of this purple range or purple panel coming down. All in all, I think it would have been an aggressive trade, and I just didn't see this and recognize it fast enough when I saw this. I think, okay, maybe it's going to bounce off of here, break through the EMA. It could be bouncing off this purple line, and I wasn't really sure. So I left it alone. It looks like it would have worked, but I don't know that necessarily this type of setup to take a trade off of consistently because it might not have worked. There's just a few things going against it. And prices continue moving down, kind of chops up, kind of continues into this range, and then it looks like it makes one leg up, pulls back, creates a second leg up, and then this pretty much goes into the end of the day, where this is the last 10 minutes, and I don't want to trade that. So kind of how the price action looked today. Although I got 4 wins and 1 loss, it wasn't particularly tricky today. It was a lot of downtime, especially toward the middle section. But in the beginning, I saw where most of the trades were, and then there was a few trades kind of later in the day. But it wasn't too bad today. So hopefully that was helpful.